Hello everybody, welcome to episode, oh man, what episode is it, 97 maybe? Yeah, I think so, 97, I'm honestly not sure, of the Driftless Knitting podcast. My name is Jennifer and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Driftless Knitter. I am most active on Ravelry, so come say hi, give me a follow, send me a message if you want to, whatever. I'm on there quite a bit. I'm coming to you today from just outside Madison, Wisconsin. Sorry, had a bit of a brain lapse there. And it is Friday, July 31st, a little after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, 3:11 my clock says. And yeah, it's a kind of a beautiful summer day today. I do have the windows closed for now, although I think later on it's going to be nice enough, cool enough to open things up and maybe sit outside on our little balcony for a little while, which will be really nice. We've had some hot weather recently, and I think next week we're gonna have some beautiful weather. I think it's only gonna be in the 70s next week, which is so nice, so nice. So I'm looking forward to that. What else? Yeah, I'm done with work for the day. So I thought I would sneak in a podcast episode while my husband is still at work. So I am working from home these days. I work for Knit Circus Yarns in Madison, Wisconsin, but since the pandemic hit back in March, I've been working from home. I am very pregnant right now. We are getting close to, we're 34 weeks along, a little over 34 weeks, so just a few more weeks to wait until our little guy could make an appearance. And my work situation has been good in that sense that I've been able to stay safe and stay home, very accommodating. And yeah, so anyway, if you've watched this before or know me at all, that's all just very redundant and you already know the story of all of that. So yeah, not much has changed since I podcasted last when it comes to that situation. Hopefully things get back to normal a little bit. Wisconsin is starting a mandatory mask mandate throughout the state on Saturday, which is tomorrow. So I'm hopeful that that will reduce the rising cases that is happening right now in Wisconsin. The county that my husband works in, which is Madison, it's Dane County, which Madison is in, has had a mask mandate for a while now. So, well, just for a few weeks, I think. So, his workplace, they have to wear masks, which makes us feel a little safer, a little better about that. But anyway, enough of that. I have a lot to show you today. I have several finished objects, if you can believe it, and a bunch of works in progress. I literally have all of my, like every bag that is in, I keep my works in progress in like a little, what would you call it? Crate? Yeah, it's a crate. It's a wooden crate and it's across the room here in our living room. And in our last apartment, I didn't really have a designated space for all of my whips. I kind of had this like pile in our bedroom, and then there'd be like some that would get just like left in the living room, and it was just not a very good plan, not very organized. So when we moved here, I thought, how great would it be to just have a place where when I'm done working with something, I can put it back in the project bag, it goes in that crate, I know where they all are, and it's an open crate so I can kind of see all the bags in there. So as long as I don't have too many works in progress going at one time, they should all fit in there. And so far it's been a good system. So anyway, that crate right now is completely empty because I've pulled all of my works in progress out, and I've finished a couple of things too. So with that being said, let's jump into some finished objects. The first one I'm going to show you is going to be familiar, and I'm really excited to have this done. It's not blocked yet. It will be soon, hopefully. I had a couple big things I wanted to block before the baby comes, just because I'm using the nursery, his room, to lay out, my blocking boards, because we do live in it's not a small apartment, but it's an apartment. There's not a whole lot of like extra space where we're not walking or moving or just living life. But right now we are just going into the nursery every so often to organize or put something away. We're not using that room every day yet. So that is right now the best place to block things and leave them to dry for a couple of days. So I recently blocked my building block shawl by Stephen West, which was a massive undertaking. I'm really glad to have that blocked and put away. And then the other big thing I had was my Dust of Snow wrap, which I knit last winter, this past winter. It was an advent calendar, and I used, let me organize my words in the proper way. I used my advent calendar from 2019 to knit the Dust of Snow wrap by Helen Stewart. And that has been finished. It did take me until, what was it, like February? Maybe? I can't remember. You guys probably remember better than me at this point. So it did take me a little bit longer to finish that, but I did finish it, and I just sort of folded it up and put it in my closet, and it was never blocked. We were moving, we had baby stuff going on, so it just like got set aside and not touched again. So I pulled that out. I actually have that soaking right now in the sink. I'm gonna block that today and let it dry. It should only take like a day to dry. It's so warm, and it's fingering weight, so it's not very thick. And then after that, I will block this piece, which is not quite as big, but still a good size. And you guys will know this is the baby blanket that I made. And I should show it this way because this is the way it was knit. So you guys can see, let's see, where's the end there? Oh my gosh. So there's the end, and this is pre-blocked. So while it's not huge, it's definitely a good size. I think that this is going to be a really good size for him when he's littler, and then it'll be kind of a nice, it's not gonna like be able to totally wrap around him when he's like a toddler or something like that, but yeah, he'll still be able to hopefully snuggle with it, as long as it doesn't get wrecked too badly when he's a baby. But my friend Crystal, hi Crystal, I know you watch, so hello. She was giving me some advice, just saying like maybe hold on. Last episode I was saying I was a little worried about these lace holes of him like grabbing them and pulling when he's like little. I mean, not when he's an infant, he won't be able to do that, but once he can get a hold of stuff. Babies love texture, they love pulling, and yeah. Anyway, so she kind of suggested maybe wait a little bit to give him this one. I haven't decided yet. We did get a lot of beautiful blankets and things for him from friends and family. Surprisingly, I haven't gotten anything knit yet, which is really strange. But I have gotten 3 quilts, 3 baby quilts, and another like snuggly blanket, like a fleece blanket, and then some like flannel, lightweight flannel blankets. So yeah, we're pretty good on the blanket front. Although, yeah, I am kind of surprised that there hasn't even been, no, I take that back. There's been some knitting. My best friend Caitlin from high school, well, from grade school and high school, she is, I don't want to say she's a recent knitter because she has been knitting for several years now. But yeah, she knit him a little pair of socks and a little hat. And then my friend Steph, who lives here in Madison, she knit a little hat and a little pair of mitts. Hi Steph, if you're watching, I know you watch sometimes too. So yeah, we have gotten some knitted things. But yeah, the blankets, this is his only knit blanket so far. And then otherwise we've had quilts given to us, which I love that too. Anything, I mean, I appreciate anything. So to make a very short story longer than it needs to be, this is the pasture blanket. I never remember who it's designed by. You'd think I would write that down and eventually clue you guys in, but I keep forgetting. So anyway, pasture blanket, you can find it on Ravelry if you're able right now to access the Ravelry site. It's available in 3 sizes. This is like the baby crib size, and then there's a medium size, which is like a lap throw, and then there's like a really big size. So it was fun, pretty easy to memorize and do the lace repeats. With pregnancy brain though, it took me the longest time to like get it in my head. I also talked about that last time, but I did eventually. So anybody who is at their normal cognitive function would probably be able to get it within like 3 repeats and just fly on it. Oh my gosh, I didn't even tell you what yarn this is knit in. My goodness. It's knit in a DK weight, and this is Bad Sheep yarn. I'll just kind of give you, I think the light's gonna kind of make it look funny, but it's like a medium baby blue, not super light, but I would still put it in that category of like a baby blue. And again, not apparent to the camera or to someone who's standing far away, but if you look at it closely, there are little specks of dark blue in it and kind of some variation, some tonal variation in there because it is a hand-dyed yarn. I used 4 skeins. I do have some left. I would say I have the equivalent of like 3/4 of a skein left. I did alternate skeins so that there wasn't any big breaks in the knitting, and so I have 2 like little kind of balls left that I haven't weighed them yet, but I would assume it was about like 3/4 of a skein. And this is the Constellations colorway. We are doing the baby's nursery in like cute space, like rocket ships and little like illustrated planets and moons and stuff like that. So the Constellations theme, that was kind of a selling point for me. I love the color too, and the yarn turned out to be super soft. It's a merino, superwash merino and nylon blend. And yeah, it's super soft, really nice to work with. But the name was kind of like the tipping point. I was like, okay, yeah, that's meant to be. So anyway, I'm so glad to have his baby blanket done, and we're still like a little over a month away from the due date, and I feel accomplished that I got that done. So one of the other things I wanted to get done, this came into my head about a week ago, a little over a week ago. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago. I decided I really wanted to make a pumpkin hat for the baby. So I placed an order and then picked it up because I go in to Knit Circus a couple times a week just to just to grab stuff to do here at home and then drop stuff off. And then we've been doing lately a weekly Instagram live on the Knit Circus channel, which I do with my boss and coworker Bug. And we are doing that tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. If you are interested in tuning in, like I said, it's on our like company Instagram account, so not my personal one. But anyway, I put my order in for yarn that was absolutely perfect for this project, and then picked it up while I was there. And since then, I have knit this cutie. Look how cute that is. Oh my goodness. So this is done out of Ringmaster worsted weight Knit Circus yarn, obviously. The orange is the Rhymes with Orange colorway, and the green is Parakeet. This is 100% superwash merino wool. I said it was worsted weight, right? Yep, Ringmaster worsted. And yeah, I used a pattern on Ravelry. It was a free pattern called Pumpkin Hats. There's a baby, child, adult size. I think there's, or is there like baby, toddler, child, adult? I can't remember. There's like 3 or 4 sizes. Anyway, I did the baby size. However, I changed things a little bit. I purposefully changed the brim. I did a rolled brim on mine because I've seen hats like this done with a rolled brim and I really liked the look. It calls for a 3x1 ribbed brim, but I decided obviously on the rolled brim. And then I was looking at the pattern. I was in the car on my way. We got to go to my mom's in the middle of July that was the first time I was down there. She only lives about 4 hours away. Not 4 hours away. She used to live 4 hours away when I lived in Minnesota. She lives about 2 hours away down in Illinois, in northern Illinois. And I hadn't been down there since before like the pandemic really got going. I think the last time I was there was early February. So yeah, it had been a long time. I've seen her since then. She's come up here. We've done some social distance get-togethers and stuff like that. Although they are, my mom and my stepdad and my sister and her family, along with my in-laws, are kind of in our circle. We still try and social distance a little bit. If we go anywhere or do anything, if we see them, you know, just after that, we do wear masks and we don't get close, and we're very careful. But they are a little bit more, we're a little bit more open to seeing them than any other like outside groups of people. So anyway, went down there for the first time in forever. It was wonderful. I had a social distance baby shower with my family that's down in Illinois. We did like we called it a baby crawl, and met at different stops so that people didn't have to all get together in one area, and kind of broke it up by family. And then I had one stop with a few of my high school friends that still live in the Chicago area, and got to see some of them, which was fabulous. It was a really, really great weekend. That was 2 weekends ago almost. And yeah, it was so nice to see people. I hadn't seen most of those people since Christmas. Yeah, so it was really good. But anyway, weird to be like, you guys stay over there, I'm gonna stay here. I have to put my mask on. I mean, that was kind of strange, like with my family and friends. You know, if we got close to each other at all, we both, you know, all put masks on, and but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. And everything turned out fine as far as I know. There were no, that was one thing. It's like when you do sort of do like a cautious like get together, there's always that thought in the back of your head, like, is something gonna happen to somebody in the next few days? Like, you're just kind of waiting to hear. if somebody is getting sick or, you know, and then, yeah, we haven't had any issue with that. I don't know anyone who has come down with COVID yet. But although my uncle, wow, I'm just blathering. Can you tell I've been alone all day? I'm just like talking to the phone. My uncle did test positive. He had an asymptomatic case, which goes to show that you just can't tell. And he quarantined for 2 weeks, and yeah, so be careful, guys. That's right. I was like trying to think of how that story about my baby shower tied into this hat that I'm holding in my hand. It just sort of spiraled, and yeah. So we're on our way back from my mom's in the car. We had a 2-hour drive, and I had cast on the brim and knit the brim, and I was ready to start the body of the hat. And you go up a needle size or 2 needle sizes, I can't remember. And you start doing like some ribbing. And I looked at the pattern on my phone, and all I saw was 3x1 rib. And I was like, okay, 3x1 rib. So I started, and I knit most of the body before I looked at the pattern again and realized that 3x1 was supposed to be for the brim. And then the body of the hat was supposed to be like 7x1 or something like that. So I knit this entire hat. I'm like, there's no way I'm taking this out. I can fudge the decreases, like whatever. It's not gonna make a difference. So I did change that as well, although that was less intentional. So it's knit in a 3x1. And then I did follow the directions for the decreases, but I kind of had to play a little bit with whether or not I was like purling or knitting, because I did have just more pearls scattered throughout. But you can't even tell, like once the stem's on there, the leaves are on there, like you can't even tell the decreases. It looks totally fine. And then I followed the directions for the stem and the leaves and sewed those on. Sewed the leaves on. The stem it's seamless, so you just kind of keep knitting after you decrease. So that's super cute. And then I had so much yarn left over, and I have somebody that I know who is due with a baby in October. So I was like, how perfect is that? I'll knit another hat. So this one, I actually reduced the amount of stitches because I thought for a newborn, like a brand newborn, this was a little bit too big. Like this to me looks like it would fit a baby that's like a couple months old, which is perfect for our kid, but she's due in October. So I reduced the stitch count, but I followed the ribbing pattern on the hat. So this was a 7x1. I did the rolled brim for this too though, because I liked the look of it. And then did all the decreases according to the pattern, all that stuff. However, when I blocked it, because there's more knit stitches, stockinette stitches in this, and there's more ribbing to kind of like pull it together in this one, even though this one has like an extra repeat, this one is bigger. Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna give her this one. Otherwise, I don't know, I do have some yarn left over, so maybe I probably have enough to knit like an even smaller version of this, like a third one, because I like the 3x1 better than the 7x1. I don't know. So I was kind of okay with keeping this one that I screwed up on and sending out the one that I did correctly. But yeah, I don't know. So I still have to sew on. I made 2 little leaves for this one as well. I gotta sew those on. Those take like 5 minutes a piece. I just haven't had a chance or the motivation to do that. So, but anyway, 2 little pumpkin hats I got done. and bored you with a really long, convoluted story. Oh goodness. So those are my finished objects for the 2 weeks. And then I have some really good progress on some of my other projects. So let's start with this guy because it's out of the bag. I had to finish up a row. I got not distracted, but I got like taken away from the project yesterday when I was working on it. So I just had like half a row done, and I didn't want to show it to you like that because it's already going to be kind of hard to show. This is in my Harry Potter Quidditch Chasing Acorns bag. These are the snap bottom bags that you can turn. So this right now has a flat bottom, but I can turn it into a square bottom by bringing over the corners and snapping them. Really cool bag. You can buy these at Knit Circus on knitcircus.com if you would like. We just got new patterns in. Holy buckets. They're so cute. Oh my gosh. The staff, I think like 3 of the staff members already bought one. Because we're like, these are too cute. They're going to sell out. We need to buy one. But anyway, this is the large bag. It's big enough. Right now I have 2 full skeins of yarn, needles, stitch markers, and a board, a Knit Picks magnetic board with my pattern on it, because this project, I definitely need to keep track of what row I'm on like that and refer to the chart all the time. Not all the time, but like every row. So this is the orthangle. Like, what are these sounds coming out of my mouth? I'm just gonna show you, because I feel like I've said it before and I think I've said it correctly, but for some reason my brain just can't wrap I can't wrap my brain around that name right now. But it's by Emily Green. Oh my gosh. Seriously. Where's my head? Emily Green. And look how crazy awesome that is. So it's a triangular shawl with some like really cool geometric lace work. It takes 3 skeins of fingering weight. Yes, you heard that correctly. And this is what I have done so far. So this is the top, the cast on. Oh my goodness. The cast on up there. And then you work down. I have been working on this for quite a while. I think I cast on back in April. But it's a little much sometimes. You can't just sit down and work on it. Like I have to have my chart set up. I can like listen to something or watch something while I do it, but I have to have like just a good setup. Like I can't take it in the car or something like that. And the rows take a while. I am almost finished with my first ball of yarn, my first skein. And so I do have quite a few stitches on here. I just really want to make a point to get some work done on it. I'll admit that even though I make the excuse that, it's not something I can just grab and go, or, I can only do a few rows at a time, they're both true. There was a stretch of time where I didn't touch this for a while. So I would say maybe 3 weeks. It didn't get worked on at all, maybe even longer, or like I knit like 2 rows and then it'd sit again for a week or 2, which isn't good. So I'm trying to, maybe not every day, but at least a few good chunks throughout the week to sit and knit I don't know. I don't want to say a section because the sections are like 20 rows each, but I'll knit like 4 or 5 or whatever. I'm wondering if that's my husband right there. Let's see if the lock turns. No? Nope. Okay, we're good. I'm using Knit Circus Opulence, which is an 80-10-10 merino cashmere nylon base. And this is in the Cut the Mustard colorway, which is a really, really beautiful gold. I love this base. I love working with it. Really nice. And this is a sample, so that's the other reason why I want to dedicate a big chunk of time. In a perfect world, I would have this done before the baby comes. But I don't know. There's only like a little over a month. And if it took me this long to just get through one skein, the rows are just getting bigger and bigger. So I would have to really, really dedicate like a lot of time on this. And I'm gonna try my hardest. I really am. But I don't want to set myself up for failure. So the best thing I can do is just keep plugging away. It'll get done eventually. Not gonna give up on it, but yeah, that's that. So I know you guys hadn't seen that in quite a while. Ooh, almost poked myself with the needles. Oh, I'm using US 3's Addy Rockets. Right now I'm on a 40-inch, I guess. I didn't think I was. That's a 40-inch, wow. I do have, they call for a 47-inch, and I do have that waiting just for when there's too many stitches and I want a few extra inches to spread them out on. So yeah, that is that project. Next, let's talk about, this is a really Chasing Acorns heavy podcast episode because this is my other Chasing Acorns bag. This is the medium size, so it's more of like a shawl kind of size. Not a 3 skein shawl size, but like a normal shawl size. And the cool things about these bags, besides having the snaps on the bottom, is that the inside is like a vinyl, so it's like waterproof. So if I had this, obviously the fabric on the outside would get wet, but the inside would, like my project inside wouldn't, because of this lining, which is awesome. So this project is a new cast on. I cast this on Monday, I want to say. And this is the 11Z's cardigan by Frogginette. And as you can see, I've got my sleeve separated. I'm knitting on the body. I have these are going to be pockets, so I have stitches being held and I'm knitting the outside of the pockets in a moss stitch. This, I believe, is the 12-month size. I wanted something that would fit him for a long time, and I also had enough yarn to knit the 12-month size, so why not? This is knit out of a worsted weight on size 8 needles, I believe. Yes, size 8 needles right now. I think the pattern calls for several sizes, and it is part of her like Hobbit collection. So 11Z's is the meal that the hobbits eat at 11 o'clock, I believe, right? Because they have like breakfast, second breakfast, then 11Z's, yeah. Which I can get behind right now because I definitely need to eat more than 3 meals a day right now. Oh, that's a whole other story. So I'm really liking this. It's a really fun pattern. It's quite simple right now. There is like a shawl collar that'll get knit on later. But right now it's like the hardest thing was taking the stitches off and putting them on, you know, holders so I can knit the pockets. Like, that's not really even that hard. But I do have a little friend hanging out with me while I knit. That is a Simply Serving Progress Keeper. And that's her like witchy kitties or something. So she's got a, let's see if it will focus if I don't show my face, a Hufflepuff scarf on. It's a calico cat. Oh my gosh, I love it. So I kind of explained when I got this that I used to, growing up, I had a calico cat named Agatha, and so this is like my little Agatha, so it's perfect. Okay, I do think that's my husband. I bet he's gonna open the door here in a second. Yep. Okay, we'll pause for a minute. Okay, sorry about that interruption. He came home from work and then was kind of puttering around a little bit and just went downstairs to vacuum out our car. And we have an underground parking area, and put covers on the back seats and hopefully then install our car seat. Which is crazy, which means we're getting so close. You know, now is the time they tell you, get that in there, get your hospital bags packed and ready to go just in case. So yeah, it's all getting pretty real. But yeah, so I talked with him for a bit, I had a snack, and I just knit a row on the project I was showing you, the 11Z's cardigan. So, okay, 11Z's. I was telling you it was knit in a worsted weight. I think I told you that. I didn't tell you what yarn yet, so remind me to do that. But I was showing you Agatha, which is my little cat progress keeper, because named after my calico cat growing up. And I just love her so much. This is the first project I've put her on. But gosh, she's just so cute. So I'm just staring. I've wanted one of these since, is it Ashley? I forgot. Simply Serving. Lindsay, I was close. Lindsay of Simply Serving first released them, which I want to say was like a year ago, and finally caved and bought one. So happy, so happy. So the yarn I am knitting my 11Z's out of is Barocco Ultra Wool. I've had this in my stash for a little bit because I knit my nephew a sweater out of this colorway. And I had one plus like almost a full second skein, which is what I started with. So this is how much I have left from that first one. And you can see I've knit the majority of the body. I might be able to finish the body with that one, and then maybe I'll need a little more, and then do the sleeves. So I'll have plenty, and the shawl collar, but still I think I'll have enough. I definitely think I'll have enough. In the pattern, I knew that I was gonna have leftover if the yardage calculation was correct. So this has 219 yards. It is a 100% superwash wool. They're not specific about what kind of wool, but I really, really like this yarn. It's incredibly affordable. It's hard wearing, it feels good. It feels like a wool, but it's not scratchy. If you want to knit, you know, like a baby garment, like I'm doing, or a sweater for an adult, or even like a blanket, and you want it to kind of have that wool feel, don't want it to feel super plasticky. To me, this does not feel plasticky at all. I love it. And it's such a great, I don't know, such a great choice for something that you want like I said, to feel good, last a long time, but not be super expensive. It's wonderful. I actually have some Ultra Wool Chunky because this was the original. They came out with a worsted weight. Then they did Ultra Wool DK. Now I believe they have a fingering weight, a DK, a worsted, and a chunky. And I ordered some chunky online to knit a stuffed animal with. So hopefully that comes soon, and then I'll get to tell you all about what stuffed animal I'm gonna make. So anyway, you're looking for a good affordable yarn, workhorse yarn, Barocco Ultra Wool. Could not recommend it enough. So that's my 11sies. So I'll do that one last. Oh, I was looking at that. It's gotta go over here. Okay, the last knitting project I have to show you is this guy back here. I'm gonna grab him off. He just brightens up the background a little bit. I don't know why it's a he. Sorry, that was my husband's phone. I don't know if someone's trying to call him or that was probably just a text message. But yeah, it brightens up the background a little bit, which is great. And yeah, lately I have been able to show this off to you on every episode because once again, I was able to get a few squares knit. Actually, more than a few, quite a few. So excited. I just went to town on this. Last time I showed you these 4 at the top, starting with the green one here, and then the pink, darker pink, and the purpley one. And then, and this is the, I'm doing an entire row of my leftovers from my Homespun House advent calendar, which is still soaking in the bathroom. I need to get that when I'm done filming. It's been in there for like an hour. Oh well. So I'm continuing on with that, although pretty soon I'm gonna run out of room at the top on this top row, and I'm gonna have to add on some sections, which will be kind of a nice break maybe. Add up or use up some of my other scraps and just sort of mix it up a little bit. But I managed to knit this guy, then this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So I believe that's 6 in all. Yep. 6 new squares on the top of the blanket. It's starting to grow. I love seeing, like, I'm so close to finishing off this row. I only have 4 more left. And then, like I said, I have to add on. So I think that having the 25 or the 24 minis across, my Advent minis, is going to be a good gauge, like a good rule of how long I want it. So right now, there's 10? Yeah. So this is only going to be 14 across, and I'm going to have another 10. So it's going to be like this. Oh wow, that's going to be big. So I think that's going to be plenty. Like at first, is that going to be too big though? Now I'm questioning that. I'll just play it by ear. And if I have to like start a second row of, hi.
Hey. I love you.
I love you too.
I'm just here to screw up your podcast. That's all.
That's all. So I think I'll just play it by ear with how long I want to knit it, and if it just starts to feel way too out of control, adding another 10 like blocks to the length, then I'll just start a second row of my Advent minis because I want them all to be together. And it would be really cool to just have one continuous row. But that's like this from here to here is 10. It's almost doubling the length. I was thinking of only adding maybe like 4 or 5 more. But maybe it would be nice to have, like, I could definitely get, oh yeah, like 2 people. Like it would be like the length of our couch almost. You could get a couple people underneath here. So that might be nice actually. But I'm not gonna commit to anything. I'll just add, you know, add a few and then, you know, add a couple advents and add a few more. Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great. But anyway, having a blast with that. Last weekend is when I did all of those squares, and it was just so much fun to pick out the colorways I wanted to use and just see them come together. It takes me, I would say it takes me about 45 minutes to knit a square, which seems like a lot, but I don't know. That's not too bad. I think I knit like 3 or 4 in one day, of like having, you know, a lot of knitting time. Yeah, so it works. And then I have a progress keeper on here. This is from the Gnome Knitter. Her Etsy shop is open again, or her website. So she has progress keepers available again. She closed for a while. They moved to Alaska, and then she had a baby, like right kind of in a row. So a lot going on there. But she's open again, and I was so tempted to buy some, but I didn't. It was so good. I was so good. Yeah, I do have a couple acquisitions to show. Nothing too crazy, but yeah, we'll see how good I am for, there's so many things. I just keep seeing people do updates and kits and even like just Knit Circus. I just want to buy everything. But working from stash is really gratifying, I have to admit. It is really nice to see some of these skeins that I've had that I love and I've wanted to use, you know, be made into something and leave my stash. So that is the last knitting work in progress I have, and I'm just gonna leave it off to the side here. I'm not gonna try and fiddle with putting that back. I've already been delayed enough. I've had, besides the initial interruption, then he's come back twice since then. So hopefully I can get through this before he comes back up for something else. But my next work in progress is actually cross stitch. What? I'm so excited. You guys have no idea. I've literally become, I think I've become obsessed with the idea of cross stitch lately. It's been something that's been like ruminating for a little while now, and I will tell you, well, last week I kind of told you, or last time I told you why. I started watching Sue and her friend, oh God, now I can't remember her name, Sue from Legacy Fiber Arts started a floss tube, which is pretty much like a knitting podcast. It's on YouTube. It's about cross stitch. Yeah, so it's exactly like a knitting podcast that you're watching right now, but it's about cross stitch. So I started watching her, and then they only had like 2 episodes out. So I watched those and I was like, you know what? Like not that I'm, gosh, I feel like I'm betraying someone by even saying this or thinking about saying this out loud, but not that I'm bored with knitting podcasts, but it's almost like I wanted something new. I wanted something to sort of break up the normal knitting pod, because I mean, everyone's a little bit different. Every knitting podcast is different, but they are like kind of all relatively the same in a way. And I just really started thinking about, after watching Sue's floss tube, how inspiring that is. And whenever she'd talk about her cross stitch on the Legacy Fiber Arts podcast, I would be inspired to, you know, pick mine up again. And I did like a couple times, like once or twice here and there over the last few years. But I'm like, you know, I love this feeling of learning about something new and seeing new makers, and I don't know. So I looked up a couple more floss tubes, and I binge watched, names right now are escaping me. I'm so sorry. Rocio. I binge watched Rocio of the Kokahama Stitch. Saying that wrong, I'm sure. Podcast. She had like 11 or 12 out. She just started doing floss tubes at the beginning or the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. And yeah, so I binge watched like all of hers. And then when I ran out, I looked up a couple more, and Pumpkin Hollow Quilts came up as one. And she has a few more. She has like 50 out. So I'm like, okay, like that's gonna give me enough content to last me for a while. So yeah, it's kind of reminding me of when I first started watching knitting podcasts on YouTube, and I found a couple and just binged all of them. Like Little Bobbins was one of my first ones. Homespun House was one of my first ones, and I watched all of them, like gobbled them up. Yeah. So I'm still watching my knitting podcast, of course, catching up on ones, but I'm enjoying kind of finding out and learning about like this new craft a little bit, because they do have different terms. Some of the same, you know, like FO and whip and frogging, you know, those are pretty universal, but there's some other different terms that come in there. And Pumpkin Hollow, Olivia, she's really inspiring because she doesn't just frame her finished works. That's one of the things that I always kind of hung me up about cross stitch, is there's less you can do with it. It's just like wall art, you know, which is fantastic, but you can only put so much cross-stitch wall art up in your house and give away so much. And, you know, it's kind of like, okay, what else do we do with this? But Olivia, she makes these amazing, like, she'll mount it on like a piece of weathered wood and do like this cool like bow and fake flower display, or she'll, I don't know, like put it on like a box or something, you know, so it's not just like a framed picture. That's it. You know, there's some dimension and some interest to it. And I really love that. I don't know, that she's doing something different. And I think a couple other, she refers to finishing it like this other person, or she was inspired by this other person. So it must be more common than I thought in the cross stitching and embroidery world to do these other forms of finishing rather than, I mean, I guess the other type I've seen is like pillows or little ornaments, but like that was it. And seeing the possibilities for some of these projects, it was like, okay, I'm done, I'm sold. So I grabbed my cross stitch out. I have my cross stitch in this awesome bag that I ordered from the UK, and I can't remember who made this, and there is no tag. I looked earlier and I'm looking again. There's no tag on it, which is so sad because it is such a fantastic needlework project bag. You could use this for knitting too. You could definitely fit a couple knitting projects in there, but I have my stitching in here. When I was looking for, a few years ago, when I first thought of going back to cross stitch, I wanted a bag that was sturdy and almost reminded me of these framed things that my mom and my Oma used to have their cross stitch in. And it was almost like it was on legs, and you'd open it up and it would kind of unfold, and the legs would come out, and it would just like sit there next to your chair. And the bag would kind of hang within the frame. I don't know if I'm describing that, or if you guys, you know, have similar or had people in your life that had bags similar to that. But I always saw them with that next to their chair or the couch, and they'd have all their project stuff in there. And I wanted kind of something like that. But this is like a modern version. So it can stand up. It has like a hard base, but it doesn't have legs. But it has these like wooden dowel handles, which I love. I love this. It's so sturdy. And it zips, which is fantastic. I don't believe that their baskets zipped. I think you just had to like collapse them. But this has a zipper, so nothing's coming out of there. And then she had some really, really pretty fabrics. I just, for some reason, I'm usually not a pink person, but for some reason, this pink and gray floral just really, really caught me. So I love this. I would have shown this off on a podcast episode probably like 2 years ago. If you're watching back 2 years ago, I would have bought this, I'm assuming, because that's around the time I was hoping to get back into cross stitch. That's also the time when I started this project. I'm going to show you. My Oma, for Christmas that same year, bought me, or the same time, bought me a couple of things to get me started because I had let her know I was thinking about going back into cross stitch. So she was really excited and got me this magazine that had been like the fall autumn, here we go, the fall autumn, like it's been in this bag. It's all, so this is the cross stitch, just cross stitch. There you go, less glare. And this is the project I am currently working on. So you can see the black cat there. And I had wanted to make this for my sister just because I wanted something small to get me back into it. I hadn't cross-stitched since I was a kid, I think. And it was, while it was the first thing that I've ever really done crafty wise, like, so I would sew a little bit with my Oma on her sewing machine. I made like a baby quilt, and I, you know, cut out squares and stuff like that for little sewing projects, but I never really did any other craft besides cross stitch before I started knitting. And I started knitting when I was like 8, so, you know. But the project that caught my eye in this magazine that I am still planning on making is called Autumn Harvest Girl. And this is just so me to a T. All the animals, the, you know, the girl with her apron full of fruits and vegetables, and just very natural. And of course, like I love her outfit. The bloomers sticking out, the old boots. I mean, yeah, that's just so me. So I saw this and was like, that. I am making that. And before, to some people, this may not look very big. To me, this would probably be the biggest project I've ever done and the most complicated. Just because when I was younger, of course, I did more simple things. And yeah, this project here is also very simple. And I thought that it would be a good introduction, like reintroduction to cross stitching, to do this Halloween cat, which is very true. But I started it, and then, like so many things, it just sort of fell to the wayside. So for the longest time, I just felt like I wanted to make it, but it was so slow going. My motivation wasn't there, and I don't know, I got hung up again about having other important things to like knit, like for people, or for myself, or I had stash yarn, or I don't know. And this just didn't seem important at the time. And now for some reason the bug just totally got me. I have a wish list now on 123 Stitch, which is a website for cross stitch and embroidery patterns. I literally have dreamt a few times about some of these like bigger projects I want to make. It's ridiculous. So, but I told myself I have to finish this first before I can start on the Harvest Girl and before I can buy any more charts for cross stitching. So I just finished the cat. I was right just past his neck when I started cross stitching 3 days ago, 3 days ago. So I finished the whole body, and I am a slower stitcher. I'm getting used to it again. It's okay. I think this is the last time I get interrupted, and that one wasn't even Seaver, which he did come up for a second, but I was already, I'd already stopped filming. My phone ran out of storage, which hasn't happened since I got a new phone. So granted, I did have a lot that I needed to sort of like wipe clean on there. So this has just been the most, like, an hour podcast has taken me like 2.5 hours to film. Okay, let's finish up talking about this. Okay, so this did, I don't know what I was saying, but the cat, I did most of the body over the last 2 days, 2 or 3 days. And I'm a bit of a slow stitcher, but I'm getting back into it. And I think I had said that I promised myself I would finish this before getting started on Autumn Harvest Girl or buying any more charts. So I'm really, really enjoying this. I don't know what it is. It just, the bug has bit me and I'm really liking it. So I'm excited about that. The excitement hasn't left me and the want and the need to stitch hasn't left me. So over the past week, it's just grown. So I think that's a really good sign. It's just like not a great sign that I'm picking up another hobby and getting obsessed with another hobby when I'm about to have a baby, because I feel like my time for indulging myself in these hobbies is going to go like way down. But oh well, oh well. We all have to have things that make us happy and that we enjoy doing when we have a little bit of free time at least. Okay, so the last thing I have to show you is a few acquisitions. So earlier this month, like July 4th weekend, I was watching an episode of The Grocery Girls and Jody was showing off some hand-dyed yarn that one of her kids dyes, and I decided that I wanted to order some. I've been seeing some of, the company is called To The Max Yarn Co. I've been seeing some of their yarn dyed up over the last like few months. I think they started dyeing, I don't even know when, like beginning of this year? I feel like it's been a while, but haven't ordered any, haven't caved or anything like that. But I did just want to kind of check out their Etsy shop and see what they had there. So I checked it out and I saw this one that I really, really liked. It's called, oh my gosh, the name isn't even on here. I think it's called Tobacco Rose. Pretty sure it's called Tobacco Rose. And it came in a sock set. The only thing I'm gonna say is that the picture of the mini on Etsy looked a lot different than this picture, than this mini does. I don't know if that's because they ran out of the original or if the lighting was just really bad. I don't know. So I was like slightly disappointed that my mini didn't look like the picture. But the main reason I bought it was because of the main color, and I'm just gonna get over the fact that the mini looks different. So anyway, this is the sock set, and that's their logo, To The Max Yarn Co. Find this yarn on Etsy. And so in the photo, this mini looked like a burgundy purple. And this is definitely red, like red. It's like strawberry red. The camera is making it look a little bit darker than it is. It's got more of like a pink undertone. It is pretty bright though. And what I thought was coming was something more, I don't know if that's gonna focus, a little more similar to these speckles, which is like a reddish purplish burgundy. And that's what it looked like in the picture. So not super thrilled with the mini, but honestly, I probably won't use it in the socks anyway. If I could have just bought the main skein by itself, I would have. It just came in a sock set, so that's what I bought. So it's not like I was like dead set on knitting a pair of socks with that burgundy, that purplish mini in there. But I'll save it for something. I'll save it for some like baby socks, or put a little bit in my cozy memory blanket or something like that. I don't know. But this is an 80/20 superwash merino nylon. There's 415 yards in the main skein, and excuse me, right? Yes, and 80 yards in the mini skein. Sorry, I was having trouble reading the tag. Silly. So yeah, I'm really happy that that came. I really just liked the combination of this like mustard yellow with the black, and then that brighter, it has like some purpley specks, and yeah, really pretty. So that finally came. That's coming out of Canada, so I knew it would take a while. I ordered it the 4th of July weekend, and it just came yesterday or the day before. I think the day before. So it took about a month, little less than a month, which wasn't too bad. I'm not going to complain about that during a pandemic, a global pandemic, and coming from Canada into the US. Not too bad. So the other two things I got, I ordered these actually off of Ravelry. I believe I mentioned in a previous episode about how the dyer behind Brew City Yarns really tragically passed away suddenly from complications with COVID-19. And unfortunately, she came down with the symptoms really fast, but she wasn't critical, and then she had a brain hemorrhage, a blood clot that resulted in a brain hemorrhage. And that's one of the scary things about this disease, about this virus, is that it doesn't present itself in the same way to everybody. So while some people might have a lot of trouble breathing and might be coughing and need to be on a respirator, like that's kind of what we imagine with people who are in quote critical condition and who pass away from this virus. But it's causing liver damage, like people's organs to shut down. It's causing blood clots. It's causing, you could get over all of the flu-like, cold-like symptoms and be okay, and then all of a sudden, something crazy, like, you could have heart failure. So, that's what's scary. It's not just like I can fight off a cold, I can fight off the flu, like I've had the flu before, I've had, it's just flu symptoms. No, it's not. It can present itself in so many different ways, especially if you have an underlying condition. So if you're already maybe prone or have a family history of, heart failure, or I don't know, lots of different things, it could just exacerbate that and cause some really bad complications. So that's unfortunately what it did for Tara. I didn't know her. I met her once at a fiber festival where I bought my one and only skein of Brew City, and I've admired her yarn ever since then. I've loved working with it, knit a pair of socks, and I am kicking myself for not I don't know, not snagging it while I could, because now this like creative force is gone, and all of her, while we'll still have the objects that we made out of the yarn, it's like we'll never be able to experience, I won't be able to experience that anymore, because I just didn't buy the skein of yarn when I could have. And while we don't know any of this is gonna happen, it's still like, there were so many times at different festivals, at one of the yarn shops here in Madison, they carried her yarn, that I was so tempted, and I just told myself, no, I couldn't, I shouldn't, whatever. And now her, her contribution to the fiber arts community is over, and we won't get that again. We won't get her creative spirit in yarn, in dyeing yarn anymore. So I first went on the internet and looked to see if any yarn shops were still stocking it, if they still had it in stock, because she did wholesale with quite a few people. And almost everywhere I looked, it was sold out. I don't know if that's because she hadn't been dyeing lately, or, they just ran out naturally, or if it's because, people were starting to realize that they wanted more of this yarn in their life. But anyway, it was all pretty much sold out. So my next thought was going on Ravelry, and I have purchased things off Ravelry, like stashes before, and I've put some of my things up for sale and had people buy from my stash. So thought maybe that would be a good place to look, and sure enough, still are quite a few skeins up on Ravelry. Many more people have it in their stash and they're not willing to sell it, but there are a few that are listed as will buy or will sell or trade. So I inquired about a few, and I heard back from 2 people, and I was able to add some more Brew City to my stash. I feel really lucky. I feel so lucky, like I just sort of stumbled across, I don't know, treasure or something. Especially actually with this one. So this skein is a skein of the Premium Draft Sock, which is the same base I knit my pair of socks in the Burning Leaves colorway, which was my one, like I said, my one and only Brew City. And I had actually seen this skein at Wisconsin Craft Market, which was the other Madison yarn shop. And I loved like the subtlety of it. I loved the creamy base, the gray, the brown specks. I'm just gonna keep talking, okay? And the brown specks. And I admired it for a really long time at the craft market and never bought it. So then when I saw somebody had this listed as a will sell or trade on their Ravelry, I kind of jumped on it because this is one that I had been wanting. And she messaged me back, and I PayPal'd her the money, and she sent me the yarn within like 2 or 3 days. It was fantastic. And it came in the mail, and I feel like I said, I managed to snag a little bit of treasure. So I'm hoping I won't knit with this right away because I have other plans, but I'm also hoping I don't just hoard it, which sometimes I do with skeins I really like, which is okay, right? I mean, we're allowed to knit with what we want to knit with, but I want to use this, like I want to use it someday because I loved knitting with that other skein I had. So the other one I got is absolutely gorgeous. But as soon as I saw it, it reminded me of a friend of mine. I'm not gonna say who, just in case, I don't know. I'm gonna give this to her soon, so don't worry. But like immediately, thought to myself, if the seller responds and if I can buy this skein of yarn, I have to give it to her. Look how incredible that is. Oh my gosh, those colors. Oh, I never said what this was called. This is Toasted Marshmallow. And this one is Witchy Willow. So that was my second skein that came. And part of me is like, there's an inner voice saying, why are you giving this away? This is like, why am I giving this away? But I still just think it would be perfect, a perfect gift. So I have to. Oh, but it's like tearing me apart. I have a couple other inquiries out for some other colorways that are up there. So we'll see. I don't want to take them all, but I don't know, I feel like if they're still out there, I can at least inquire about them. I don't know. Feel free. I mean, anybody who, if you're wanting to get, you know, some of this yarn, it's a great place to find it. I'm not saying, like, I could have just kept it to myself and just not said anything and just bought it all, but, you know, can't do that. So anyway, I think that just about does it for me. And before there's any more craziness happening, I better sign off. This has taken me about 2.5 hours to film a 1-hour podcast. And we've got...
Hi.
This is interruption number 4 or 5, I think. I'm gonna do some real good editing here. But that's okay. So, yep.
Jennifer's the cutest.
Oh, thanks. You're kind of biased though.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. It's always so great to see your comments and connect with you guys. So if you would like to message me or comment on the video, or you can go on Instagram and get in touch with me there. You can also subscribe and like the video. That would be awesome. Or tell some friends. Yeah, I think that's about it. I probably have forgotten a load of stuff because I've been interrupted so many times. This has been a really crazy episode, and it's getting really warm in here, and I have pregnancy brain. So there you go. But yeah, so I will talk to you guys later. Keep doing things that make your heart happy. Be kind to one another, be safe, wear your masks, and I love you all. Talk to you soon. Bye.